My mom created a fun way for us to learn the most important rules of life. Yah's command.
With Yah's Big Ten Commands, we get to see His will best for us.
Keep Yah first.
No graven images.
Don't take Yah's name in vain.
Remember Shabbat and keep it holy.
Honor your parents.
Do not kill.
Mr. and Mrs., don't cheat.
Don't steal.
Don't tell lies.
Don't covet.
This changes everything. Get your set of Yah's Big Ten Commands at Big Ten Designs today.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land.
Identity. We are bombarded by images of who we think we are every day of our lives. But some people don't think. They know. How about you? I didn't know my true identity, culture, heritage, or roots. As a Christian, I was told the only thing that mattered was my identity was found in Christ. But what about the Asian, Arab, Coptic, or European believer? Do they know their identity? Does it matter to them? How about you? This is who they tell us we are. This is what we know. But is it the truth? Take a journey with me as I share my story of faith and identity and discover why both life in the Savior and identity matters. Why our past, present, and future hinges on the knowledge of our true identity. Why all believers in the Messiah must wake up before it's too late. As the world gets darker, it is time for Yah's people to shine their light. Who you really are is one of the most important questions on earth. It's time you knew.
It's
Israelite.
Israelite.
Israel.
Israelite.
Israelite. How to know your identity without losing your savior.
Israelite!
I believe in you. Tell me, do you believe in you? Hard to bear. Someone is raging too high. It's all consuming. But above the world, the wind and seas, you reach for me.
Grace and peace, family. Grace and peace. How y'all doing today? Let's try to fix this a little bit. Yeah, you know, StreamYard is doing this like new thing, and it's kind of like throwing me off. I think other people have said the same thing. It's like, StreamYard, what are you doing? Why did you have to mess it up? It was okay. It was okay. We were working with it, and then you had to go in there and you had to do something funny, you know, just trying to keep up with whatever they trying to keep up with. I don't know, okay? I mean, darn it. Like, can't we just keep things simple? I mean, give me the idiot's guide, right? The idiot's guide to it, and I'm good. You know, got to get all complex. But grace and peace, fam. How y'all doing? It's good to be back with y'all tonight. All praises to the Most High. Good to see your beautiful. Okay, I see some of your faces. Okay, some of your faces. I see it there in your little avatars, your little thumbnails. Good to see you though, fam. It really is good. And look, I can't be complaining, right? You looking at my thumbnail right now, right? You ain't looking at me. It's all good though. It's all good. You saw me in my little book promo there. That's me. Yeah. Yay. Anyway. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Tomorrow is Shabbat. And I'm excited about tomorrow. All praises to the Most High. He is, you know, doing amazing things. I am truly excited about what Yahuwah is doing. I know a lot of people aren't excited about what Yahuwah is doing, but you know, William McDowell, shout out to William McDowell. He has this song where he talks about, I hear the sound of rain coming, right? And I love that song, but he says that to people who don't have anything in the ground, rain is a nuisance. If you have nothing in the ground, then rain is a nuisance. But if you are sowing into the kingdom, then rain is a blessing. And I hear the sound of rain. So all praises to the Most High. I'm going to give a shout out to the fam in the building. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Grace and peace, Brother Timothy. Always good to see you. I hope that you're doing well. Sister Karima, poet. I like that. I'm a fellow poet. If that's your last name or that's your little thumbnail, I love it. Grace and peace to you. Got Ivan Juan Little in the building. Hazda Mishpaka. All right, Hazda. Please tell me what Hazda means, because, brother, I am still learning. So, shalom to you. But Mishpaka is the family. Grace and peace to you. Got Yiska Leanne in the building. Blessings to you. Blessings. Latanya, peace and blessings to you as well. Sister Dorothy, grace and peace. Shalom to you. Got Just Reese in the building. Shout out to Just Reese and all my mods doing what they do on this channel. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for coming in. Shout out to Sister Emma in the building. Grace and peace to you. Got Tyler 112 in the building. Shabbat Shalom to you as well. All right, who else do we have in here? We got Sister Tanya Horton in the building. Grace and peace to you. Welcome tonight. Got Yahuwah's Jewel. Peace and blessings to you. Our brother Jared Turner in the building. Shalom Mishpachah. Grace and peace to you. Got Lynn T up in the building. Peace and blessings to you. All right, got Bishop Jermaine. Bishop? All right. What's up, Bishop? All right. I had to say that all the way because that sounded a little weird when I was like cutting it off. That didn't sound right. So peace to you. Brother Damien, peace and blessings to you. And we got Yahweh Ben Yisrael, peace and blessings. Shalom to you. Got Cynthia in the building. Sister Cynthia, peace and blessings. All right. Got Don P in the building. Peace and blessings to you. Yes, this is always such a nice song. Hide a place. This puts me in the right spirit. So all praises to the Most High for that. Got Sister AV in the building, or Brother AV, I can't tell which one you are. Bonjour et shalom. Parlez-vous français? Peace and blessings to you as well. And Merle's Life. All right. Peace and blessings to you. Oh, can't forget Sheriff Kwam Yasharala. Shabbat Shalom. Peace and blessings. All right, family. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I'm going to tone the music down just a little bit. Yes, y'all. I'm so grateful, right, to come tonight. I believe that we have to make a joyful noise unto Yahuwah in spite of everything that is going on. Right? We have to be joyful in spirit. And those of us who are born again, I believe that Yahuwah just gives us this peace that surpasses all understanding. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know. It's like, it doesn't really matter what's going on in life. You know, he's going to give you this rest and this calm to know that he's got this. He is fully in control. So we don't need to fret. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to fret at all because Yahuwah has us safe in the center of his will. And I am just, tremendously grateful every time I get a chance to be on with y'all because, listen, family, in this day and time, we need to be able to connect with like-minded believers. And we know that that's getting more and more difficult to do. So I want to give a shout out to all of y'all who continuously come in and support. And with that in mind, I also want to give a special shout out to this month's advertiser on my channel. I'm so grateful for the subscriber, Natural Niche Boutique in the building. Want to give a shout out to Natural Niche Boutique. I'm going to put their flyer up real quick. Listen, family, I am always thankful to support the family because that's what we need to do. We need to unify and we need to support. So the best and natural skincare products, you're going to need to get your hands on some Natural Niche Boutique products. Natural Niche Boutiques is a skincare company, and they're located in my birth home, North Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina. They're dedicated to providing eco-friendly, moisturizing, and effective products. They provide premium ingredient-conscious products that retain moisture and help improve skin. So you can say goodbye to all them toxic products and the chemicals that are damaging your skin and your body within, because we know that when we put things on our skin, y'all, it doesn't just stay on our skin, it goes into our blood system. So with the Natural Niche Boutique, you're not going to have to worry about that. So it's time to treat your melanin with the love it deserves. So please don't wait. Visit Natural Niche Boutique and get the best and most luxurious skincare products today. Visit their website at naturalnicheboutique.com. You all can check. Their website is located in my description box, so shout out to them. Thank you so much for your support. And again, this month, we are still running our 50% off April sponsorship packages. This is for sponsorship packages, and several of y'all have reached out to me, and you should have already received an email from me regarding that. And I'm looking forward to working with you all because we got to continue to support the fam. So it's actually in the description box as well. If you want to link up and for the sponsorship package only, the sponsorship packages, you can receive 50% off for this month, and your advertising will go into next month. So shout out to all of you for your support. Okay, so like I said, fam, we got a lot of things to discuss tonight, as always. And before we really get into the nitty gritty, it's Passover week, y'all. I want y'all to do me a favor. Give me a 1 in the chat if you celebrated Passover this year. All right? Give me a 1 in the chat. I celebrated with my family Passover this year. If you celebrated Passover this year, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't, put a 2. I know it's a lot going on surrounding how people feel about Passover, but we've been celebrating Passover for a while. Okay, we got some 1s in the chat. All right, all praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Okay, got a couple of 2s. Brother Timothy didn't celebrate this year. It's okay. It's okay. This journey didn't get to celebrate. Fast Nickel did. Shout out to Fast Nickel. Brother Damian, not this year. Brother Don P, not this year. Latoya, not this year. Lynn, not this year. Okay, but it's like kind of a mixture. Oh, it's a lot of people now. Didn't celebrate. But if you've celebrated Passover, I know, listen, there's a lot when it comes to the feast days and learning, because we still, a lot of us are inundated with the pagan holidays, and we don't celebrate those anymore. But in learning how to celebrate the feast days, it's a process. So we've been celebrating for about 4 or 5 years, and we had a really good Passover. I was excited about it. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, it wasn't really even on my mind until the day before. I had a brother who reached out to me the day before, and it reminded me, he mentioned something about Passover, reminded me, and I looked at my calendar. I have a Hebrew calendar, and I was like, oh my goodness, Passover is tomorrow. So I told my husband, and we scurried and, got all the things that we needed in time. I wanted to decorate this year, but as you all know, with everything that's been going on with my family, different loss and everything, my mind just wasn't there at first. But I praise Yah for the late reminder, because we had an amazing Passover. And this year, unlike the previous 4 or 5 years, we actually incorporated the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay, now if you're celebrating currently the Feast of Unleavened Bread, do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat. We are on day 6. So tomorrow is the last day for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I want to see if any of y'all celebrated the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay, Brother Don P says, if I keep it this calendar, it'll be in October. And see, that's where some people are kind of like, okay, well, it's supposed to be based on, like I heard, Brother Yacoba a couple weeks ago talking about his thoughts as far as the calendar is concerned and the grain and all of those things. But in terms of how I perceive it, based off of the calendar that I have, I celebrated it this week. And there are people here that are celebrating the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay, Yiska said, yes, day 6 for me too. That's awesome. And so I'm excited because this year we incorporated it, right? And I don't know about y'all, but it's been a blessing for us, right? With the Feast of Unleavened Bread has been a real blessing for us. And I will tell you, the reason why it's been a blessing for us, because for one thing, we didn't even know that we could do it, right? I mean, for real, we didn't know as a family, like all of us, because we're a large family. We didn't know everybody's schedules were going to be able to, meet for us to be able to meet together, but it's been working so beautifully and everybody has been here. So all of us every night, we've gathered in our living room with our from scratch unleavened bread and worshiped Yah, fellowship, read his word, and grown closer to each other and also to his heart. And y'all know I'm married to a chef, right? Okay. So we had to go out all the way out. You know what I'm saying? We put our foot in everything. Okay. When you're married to a chef, they ain't no half stepping. So we put flaxseed and raisins in our bread. We made garlic unleavened bread last night. And then we also, the night before, had unleavened tacos. All right. Y'all, that was lit. Okay, we had unleavened tacos. It was awesome. All right. So we was putting our spin on it. We was having fun. And I want to give a special shout out to my sister Nilifer, because her and her husband came down last year and they blessed us with a beautiful pineapple preserve that she made from scratch. She made it from scratch, and then she put it in one of those mason jars. And so I waited until Passover this year to open that spread. I waited because I was like, this is special to me. When my subscribers come down and visit, it's very special. And especially when they give me gifts, I treat them, they're special. So I waited. And when I tell y'all that it was worth the wait, all right, Nilifer, you might be getting some orders in, okay, sis? My family is begging Nilifer to make some more for us, okay? It was just so good. But, we greatly enjoyed this time, and I'm thankful, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. One of the things that this feast in particular, I'm talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, has revealed to me is the struggles that I'm still wrestling with, okay? This week has revealed to me some of the things that I'm still wrestling with, the struggles, y'all, okay? Those pesky things that we believe that, we've overcome until we're tested. Well, this week, the wrestle was real. I had a great time when we would meet together. Some days I didn't think we was going to meet up, but throughout the days, I was really wrestling. I was struggling, y'all. I was struggling in the daytime with my attitude some days. I was struggling with my mouth. You know what I'm saying stuff. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? I knew every night that we met internally that Yah was showing me myself, and he was dealing with me. You know what I'm saying? Because he's dealing with all of us in the area of sin. Because we have to understand that the point of the unleavened bread is all about removing the leaven, because it represents sin. That's the whole point of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It represented household sins. Now, our ancestors were instructed by Yah to remove the leaven from their homes and to prepare the bread without yeast, because we have to understand that when they were cooking the bread, then the yeast will make the bread rise. And remember that the yeast or the leaven is a reflection of sin, because when sin is under fire, y'all, it rises. Do y'all understand that? Like when you're facing trials and tribulations, when you're under fire, what's in you, that's going to rise to the top. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what's going to rise to the top. Whatever's in you when you're under fire, it's going to come to the top. You might have think that thing was gone, but get under fire and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? You thought you stopped cussing, and then you stubbed your toe on the side of that wall. And then you thought you stopped lusting. And then some fine specimen of a human being walks in front of you, and I mean, can I keep it 100? You thought you had patience. Then you was in a traffic jam. Okay, so you thought you trusted Yah, but then the eviction notice came. So y'all see where I'm going? So tonight, we're going to deal with this thing. And I titled tonight's message, What True Israel Learned. And I included pictures of different modes of operation in which we, and I'm talking about the collective of the so-called Black community, have unwillingly and willingly participated in the lands of our captivity. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list, but these are 3 major plantations, in my opinion, which still control us. So let's talk about it. All right. We're going to talk about the first one, the economic plantation. All right. Let's deal with the economic plantation. So when our ancestors were forcibly taken to the Americas and to the UK and the Caribbean, we know they were enslaved. But what for? Now, yes, we do know that it's because of their disobedience and rejection of Messiah by their forefathers and foremothers that they were under the Deuteronomy 28 curses. But when they came here, what did they do? What did they do, y'all? They worked on plantations and labored for free, unwillingly. They worked night and day and night under strenuous conditions, left alive just enough to work the next day to build the economic wealth of the white owners. In fact, we know that slavery made America an economic superpower of the world. We know it did. Now, they try to make us think that, that's not the case, that slavery did not have a major role in making America the economic superpower. But that is so far from the truth, and we're going to take a look at it. We'll look at this article here from Vox. All right. I'm trying to grab a hold of it. I told y'all StreamYard is acting a little iffy tonight. We're going to take a look at this article. As soon as I can open it up. It's coming, y'all. Y'all pray for me. It's coming. All right. Y'all see that there? All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I see it. If you see it, put a 1 in the chat. Okay. Oh, they're telling me I got to become a member. Of course they are. Okay. So this article, I had it pulled up earlier. And what it was talking about, I'm going to go ahead and close this out because it's saying I got to become a member. I'm not going to become a member. But what the article was talking about was the reality that slavery was the #1 source of America's economic stability and its superpower status in the world to this day. That's slavery. And because of what our ancestors went through, America was allowed to be blessed. Isn't it what the Most High said, that through the seed of Abraham, all nations will be blessed? And so when we look at what our ancestors went through, they went through that. Why? Because of our disobedience, because of our refusal to listen to the Most High. But the truth is that even though that was then, and the Civil War was fought, and the North won, and the South lost, and the Emancipation Proclamation ended, and now we're supposed to be free, we know we're still not free. We know that. I mean, how many of you work at a job that you hate? How many of you? Do you love your job? I want you to think about your life. I don't want you to think about what happened then. We covered what happened then in the plantation, and then we went through all of the stuff real quick, even though we couldn't look at the article. We know the history. I want you to think about your own life right now. How many of you work at a job that you hate? Put a 1 in the chat. Do you love your job? Yeah, we fought in all their wars. We fought in all of their wars. But most of our people, when they think about the work that they have to do, they don't care to get up in the morning and go do that slaving. They know that. Okay, so here's another question for you. How many of y'all own a Fortune 500 corporation? If you own a Fortune 500 corporation, please let us know. How many of you? No, you don't own a Fortune 500 corporation? Okay, here's the third question. How many of you have enough wealth to pass on to your children's children? If you do, let's do this. If you have enough wealth to pass on to your children's children, put an A in the chat. The letter A. If you don't, put a B in the chat. I'm actually look at the numbers on this and see how many of us, I'm talking about in 2025. I'm not talking about the plantation of yesteryear. I'm talking about in 2025, how many of us have wealth to pass on to our children's children? Does life insurance count? I mean, it depends on how much life insurance you have. Look at this economy. I mean, you would think that, $500,000 would be enough to sustain, but you split that up between enough people. Just enough, Bishop said. Most of us, come on now, even with life insurance. We had several people who passed away in our family. I remember when my father-in-law passed, before he passed away, he said, the only thing I have to leave to my children are my memories. You know what I'm saying? Don P said, I can't even afford to have children to pass anything on to. I mean, that's where a lot of people are now. They talking about, the childless generation, right? People are going child free because they can't afford it. It's so expensive. But I thought we left the cotton plantation, right? We left the plantation. Saying we're supposed to be free? Would y'all say we're still on the economic plantation? Are we still on the economic plantation? We've been in the lands of our captivity and we fought to get free from the chains that held us bound physically, but are we free? Are we free? Yes or no? Are we free? We's free. We's free now. Cynthia said, free as a caged bird. Free as a caged bird. Ain't that the truth? I'm just saying. No, we're not. We're not free. And I think the thing is that, we need to be able to look at our lives in real time. Because we do spend a lot of time looking at the history. And the history is important. But I want us to understand real time. Real time, where we're at. This is 2025. This is not 1865, y'all. This ain't 1963 or 1863. Okay, this ain't 1700. This ain't even 1900s no more. This is 2025. So let's move on. We're going to talk about the next plantation real quick. I'm going somewhere. The Justice Plantation. The Justice Plantation. We're going to talk about that. Because the Justice Plantation is all about the fight for freedom. So during slavery, our ancestors who were brave fought for justice. The Underground Railroad, the slave riots, these were mechanisms, and they were very necessary, I do contend, which our ancestors employed. They did that to get us free from the physical chains of the economic plantation, even though we're still in it. Now, over time, the fight for justice continued, and our ancestors fought against the criminal injustice system. They also fought for equal treatment and protection under the law. Now, I have to say that I want to apologize for framing the civil rights movement as exclusively about integration over segregation, okay? Because a huge part of it initially was not about black and white integration. But over time, you know, the intent shifted. It was supposed to be about separate but equal. And it shifted as the powers that should not be take over. So nevertheless, our ancestors, and even in modern times through Black Lives Matter, so-called black folk have fought for freedom on the Justice Plantation. So I'm going to ask some more questions. Let's make it real time again. Are we still imprisoned at a higher rate than our racial counterparts? Are we still imprisoned at a higher rate than our racial counterparts? Are we? Or are we, trending in the same numbers? Let's take a look. This article is called Mass Incarceration Trends. Okay? So I'm going to dip down real quick. Take a look. These are all the states in which mass incarceration trends are. You see that? We are right here, United States, 531 international rates of incarceration. Rwanda and Cuba have beaten us out. Okay? Third highest nation of incarceration. Now let's talk about the racial and ethnic disparities. 1 in 5 black men born in 2001 is likely to be imprisoned at some point in their lifetime. People of color remain massively overrepresented in prisons, accounting for nearly 7 in 10 people in prison. That is wild. Systemic causes range from the history of racial and ethnic subordination to ongoing police tactics to unfairly ensnare people of color into the system, and also include charging and sentencing practices that create stiffer punishments for people of color. Recent estimates find that 1 in 81 black adults in the United States is serving time in state prison. Now, if you read my book, you know that my family is not untouched by that. My father spent 7 years in prison. I'm sure that many of you that are listening right now have a loved one, a parent, an uncle, an aunt, a brother, a cousin who has been impacted by the prison industrial complex. So take a look at this, the racial and ethnic disparities in state and federal prisons. This is 2022, y'all, 3 years ago. Okay, black folk account for 1,196, and that's per 100,000 adults. Whereas Latinx or Latin people, 603,000 of them, and white 229,000. Look how much the gap is. This is in 2022. But the fight for justice, right? It's supposed to be the fight for justice. The Justice Plantation. We're supposed to be free. How come we still so imprisoned physically in our bodies? So how about another area of justice that we've been over time been fighting for, advocating for? Housing. Are we faring better in housing? Well, let's take a look, because what I want to show y'all is where we're at today. I don't want to show y'all where we were yesterday. I want y'all to see right now where we are today. because not everybody knows this. They know that there's certain things that are happening, but not everybody understands just how deep this is to our people today. All right. Let me pull this article up. I'm having issues with my mouse as I'm also having issues with StreamYard. Okay. So we're going to be talking about Project 2025 real quick, what it means to the Black community. Project 2025 will limit the Black community's access to safe and affordable housing. Let me open this up so y'all can see this a little bit better. It says fair housing is critical in the fight for a stronger, more equitable, and more prosperous country. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, occupies a leadership role in creating thriving, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes. The federal government has publicly acknowledged the role it has historically played in systematically declining to invest in communities of color and preventing residents of those communities from accessing the same services and resources as their white counterparts. Y'all hear that? The federal government ain't even lying about it. Now, in contrast, Project 2025 opposes efforts to correct the country's long history of discriminatory housing practices, and it outlines several tactics to undermine the fair housing rights that the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and many others helped secure. All right? The justice, fighting for justice. Project 2025's main thesis is that housing assistance and other programs to expand housing access produce intergenerational poverty traps. This is what they say, and discourage work, marriage, and meaningful paths to upward economic mobility. To implement its policy goals, Project 2025 will reorient HUD away from racial justice and fair housing and reassign the majority of permanent jobs held by long-term career employees to temporary political appointees. Project 2025 claims that installing motivated and aligned leadership will empower an administration seeking to dismantle fair housing rights and protections to act more swiftly with or without congressional action. So these policies, which fail to recognize how housing assistance has historically benefited white families to the exclusion of Black families, will dismantle fair housing rights protections and programs. And this is how they're going to do it. Destroying tools essential to combating housing discrimination and delegating housing enforcement to state and local governments. So they're going to take it out of the federal government. They're going to make it localized, right? The state and the local governments. And we know that a lot of these states under this current administration are, they're getting on the so-called DEI bandwagon, right? Where even though we're at the bottom of the totem pole on that, and white women are at the top, they make us the face of it. We know that. So Project 2025 will block the federal government from tracking racial disparities and discrimination in housing. Project 2025 suggests that all forms of racial classification, including the collection of data on racial groups, are inherently racist and will therefore suspend all government efforts to gather evidence of discrimination. You see this? It's like, hear no evil, see no evil. They want to act like being able to gather the information about unsafe and unfair housing practices and exorbitant fees when it comes specifically to the quote unquote Black community, all of a sudden that's racist. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They collect data on everything else, but they don't want this data. They don't want that truth, because then they have to rectify it in their conscience. And because they lack one, our people find themselves once again in 2025 on the bottom of the fight for justice for fair housing. I mean, we got a couple of more. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about what we're dealing with today, because this stuff is impacting all of us. I know I'm not the only one who has dealt with the issues of fair housing, of low-cost homes, that they're in safe neighborhoods. Come on now. Our entire community, for the most part, is redlined into the ghettos. And that was intentionally done. It's still intentionally being done. So how about education? How, like Dompe, we are the tell today. How about education? Come on now. Come on now. You see, because we got to talk about this. We have to talk about how we, in this day and in this time, are still on these same plantations. So this article, racial inequality in education, race, ethnicity, and education. The U.S. education landscape has long been a source of unequal treatment, access, and outcomes based on a student's race or ethnicity. Black students, for example, are twice as likely as their white peers to be in an adequately funded school district and 3.5 times more likely to be chronically underfunded districts, according to 2024 report released by the Albert Shanker Institute. The discrepancies in funding between Hispanic and white students are moderately smaller, but still large. So it says between 1740 and 1867, anti-literacy laws prohibited enslaved and sometimes free Black Americans from learning to read and write. We know that. Couldn't read or write. But in 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court declared separate is not equal in a ruling that aimed to end the practice of race-segregated public schools. Although this case, known as the Brown versus Board of Education, ended legal segregation in public schools, it did not end racial inequality in education. And, you know, I want to stop at that right there for a moment because, you know, for me, I've been a homeschooler for 14 years. If you homeschool your children, put a 1 in the chat. We've been homeschooling for 14 years. And when we started homeschooling our children, when I tell you the amount of Black folk that came up to us on a regular basis, and they were like, why are you homeschooling your children? Like, don't you know about the Brown versus the Board of Education? They kept coming to me saying the Brown versus the Board of Education. And I'm sitting there going like, I'm sorry. Did you not go to these public schools when you were growing up? Did you not graduate from these schools? I went to public school and graduated from public school. I graduated from school in the Caribbean, but I went to public school the majority of my life in the States. And when I tell you the discriminatory practices, I felt them. All right? I felt them. But it was not white folk coming up to me that had the issue. It was our own people that had the issue back 14 years ago that I was homeschooling my children. And that should let us know where our minds are. So though 70 years have passed since the U.S. Supreme Court prohibited segregation, many of America's public schools are still racially and ethnically isolated. For instance, among public schools nationwide, 60% of Hispanic students, 59% of Black students, and 54% of Pacific Islander students attended schools where over 75% of the classmates shared their race or ethnicity. Why does that matter? Oh, it's not because we want to be integrated with these other nationalities. The reason why it matters is because wherever your district is and wherever the tax bracket is to determine the amount of funding that that school receives. And so because they box us into the ghettos, because we are in low wage jobs where tax money is not being equally distributed because we're on the economic totem pole on the bottom of it, that affects the schools, the taxes, the tax money that goes into the schools that gives them the resources. But on top of that, we don't have adequate education, period, by our own people. We don't. The majority of our students are being taught by the people who enslaved them. They're being taught by the colonizer, the ways of the colonizer. And we already are aware, even you can say, oh, well, you know, Trump is dismantling the Department of Education and, oh, that's so bad and all that. Listen, let me tell you something. Family, it doesn't matter because it was bad for us regardless. Our education, the education of our youth has been put into their hands. So our children know nothing about themselves. They know nothing about themselves as a collective, except whatever that school system taught them to know about themselves. And that's what we got to deal with. what say, each one teach one, right? The education is horrible. It's horrible. We're still on that plantation. And yeah, we can read now, but how many people are reading? I got one more here on the justice plantation. We're going to talk about our health. You know, when you get a little bit older, you wake up in the morning and you say, I thank y'all for life, health, and strength. Life, health, and strength. 11 conditions that disproportionately affect Black people. 11. Let's just go down the list. Heart disease, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, sickle cell anemia, cancer, kidney disease. Woo! These are some serious ones. Asthma, HIV and AIDS, C19. Disproportionately affect us, y'all. I mean, do I really need to get into the entire article as to why? I mean, come on now. Do I really need to go into the article as to why we have such health disparities? So how's that justice plantation treating us in 2025? How? I think we get the point. Let's go ahead. We're going to move on to this final one. Like I said, this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are 3 major areas. So let's talk about the political plantation. Now, this one is directly tied into the justice plantation because though we like to believe our grassroots efforts have gotten us to a better place in these lands, we know that oftentimes our people believe that if we just vote the right way, we're going to get ahead. Now, I want you, there's going to be some controversy. Might be, might not, I don't know. Type of one in the chat if you believe that voting either Democrat or Republican has made things better for our people. Type of one in the chat. If you believe that voting either Democrat or Republican, okay, has made things better for our people. Type 2 if you think we're fooling ourselves. Voting. Only 60 Gay said, please. No. Put 0. Brother Y. Joe says 0. We got 0 out of it. Okay. So we on the same page. Just says 0.5. Oh my goodness. So we on the same page there. Now we know the Agent Orange is in the White House. And he doing what he does. But how many of us know that we have people in our communities that still believe that if we had just voted for Kamala Harris, everything would have been better? Don't be scared. Do you feel that way? Type 3 in the chat. I told y'all what he was going to do. I told y'all. And y'all still wouldn't put him in the office. But if y'all had to listen to us and just put Kamala in, it would have been so much better. Don't be scared till y'all say, yeah, put Kamala in. It would have been better. This journey laughing. Listen, y'all. Our folks still believe that. Oh, till y'all said, let me correct that. -3. Listen, our people believe that in mass droves. I promise you. I follow their channels, okay? I follow their channels. They're like, listen, this is the FAFO season. Don't be crying now when American citizens are getting deported by ICE. You put them in there. But y'all was worried about whether or not Kamala was Indian or black. But if you had to put her in, me and you both, Dorothy. Me and you both. And I stand on that. Well, I sit on that couch and eat some chips. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you why, because how long we been voting? How long have we been voting? One of y'all elders up in here. Come on. Let us know how long we've been voting. How long have we been putting these folk as representatives? Right? Thinking that it's going to make a difference. And there's been no change for our benefit. Now, I recently heard while, the white folks was out there preparing for their big protest back a few weeks ago, and our people were on code, and they refused to go out in the streets. And that was good. But the reason why I say this is because them same folks was like, you know what? Y'all don't be going out in them streets. Y'all stay out of this. But we just got to vote. Oh, fam. And my extended eye roll started. I said, we got to what? We got to do what? Now, I want y'all to understand, I'm not hating on all black politicians because I do believe that many of them come into office well-intentioned. Not all of them, obviously. But, they see what's going on. They're young. They're active. I've spoken to several of them. They're excited about being able to affect change. They want to make a difference. But ultimately, once they get elected, they find out they got to fall in line. Right? They got to fall in line. And the gatekeeping line says, work for the system and keep them ninjas in check. This is a system of colonialism. Plain and simple. It's everywhere. So if we're still on the economic plantation, we're still on the justice plantation, and we're still on the political plantation, tell me, family, how are we free? How are we free? This is a Selah moment. I'm going to ask it again. If we're still on the economic plantation, we still in 2025 on the justice plantation, and we still on the political plantation, how is we free? Let's talk about it. Because see, that's what we need to do. We need to start real timing this reality that we're in. It's too many times when the Bible is read and people go, oh boy, there they go, thumping that Bible again. Because they don't understand. I'm gonna pin this. I'm not pin this. I'm gonna highlight this comment right here before I show you this. It's the illusion of freedom. It's the illusion of it. That's right. We have the illusion of freedom. So I'm going to read Micah because y'all know we got to get into this word and people don't want to hear the word. I know people don't have a tolerance for the word anymore. They just don't. And we're going to talk about that because y'all wonder why we ain't free. I just showed y'all 3 ways in which we're still tied to the system. So this is Micah chapter 6. Listen to what Yahuwah says. Stand up, plead my case before the mountains. Let the hills hear what you have to say. Hear you mountains, Yahuwah's accusation. Listen, you everlasting foundations of the earth. For Yahuwah has a case against who? Against his people. He is lodging a charge against Yasharel. My people, what have I done to you? How have I burdened you? Answer me. I brought you up out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. I sent Moses to lead you, also Aaron and Miriam. My people, remember what Balak, king of Moab, plotted and what Balaam, son of Beor, answered? Let's pause there. Let's talk about it. Balak, king of Moab, plotted against Yasharel. And he went to the prophet Balaam, son of Beor, trying to get the children of Yasharel to be wiped out. And he went to him and he said, how can this happen? For those of y'all who are not familiar with the story, how can the children of Yasharel be wiped out? And so Balaam went to pray, and the answer that he came back with was, you can't curse them. I mean, did y'all hear that? You can't curse them. I said, come again? They're blessed. You can't curse them. Why were they blessed? Why were the children of Yasharel blessed? Because they were obeying Yah at that point. They were doing what he commanded them. You cannot curse them. You can't destroy them because they're blessed. Eventually, though, he got the bright idea because he wanted the money that the king was offering. And he got this bright idea. And he said, you can't curse them, but you can get them to curse themselves. I'm going to say that again. You can't curse them, but you can get them to curse themselves. How do you do that? Well, how you still do it? With the women. Oh, let them be seduced. Let the men of Yasharel get seduced by your women, the Moabite women. Now, if y'all remember, Moab was one of the sons that came out of the illegal exchange between Lot and his daughter after Sodom and Gomorrah had been destroyed. They went in to their dad and got pregnant for their dad, and one of the sons was named Moab. So Moab was a Hebrew, but he wasn't an Israelite. Okay? And so the Moabite women were used to seduce the Israelite men. And they fell for it. Are we going to talk tonight? Woo! Are we talking tonight? I said it's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We're going to deal with some stuff tonight. Oh, y'all thought the first part was something. First part was child's play. We're going to get in tonight. So remember your journey from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of Yahuwah. So that's what that was about. Now remember, because Balaam told Balak, no, you can't curse them, but they can curse themselves. With what shall I come before Yahuwah and bow down before the exalted Aluah? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Come again? I want y'all to catch these lines. I want y'all to catch what the Most High is throwing out. Now, he just delivered the children of Israel, and during Passover, he told them to take the unspotted calf of a 1-year-old lamb or goat and burn it as an offering and put the blood on the doorpost. So he's making reference to what he told them to do in Egypt. So he said, shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will Yahuwah be pleased with thousands of rams and 10,000 rivers of olive oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Come on now. What did he do with Pharaoh and all the Egyptians in Egypt to their firstborn? You see, the Most High knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's saying. He's very meticulous about what he's saying to the children of Yasharel for a reason. This is a reminder to them. He has shown you, oh mortal, what is good. And what does Yahuwah require of you? Here it is. To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your allure. Do justice, real justice. We're going to talk about what real justice is. Love mercy, walk humbly with allure, with your allure. Walk humbly with him. I mean, that's not that difficult. But is it? But is it though? Verse 9, listen, Yahuwah is calling to the city, and to fear your name is wisdom. Heed the rod and the one who appointed it. Am I still to forget your ill-gotten treasures, you wicked house, and the short ephah, which is accursed? Shall I acquit someone with dishonest scales, with a bag of false weights? Your rich people are violent, your inhabitants are liars, and their tongues speak deceitfully. Therefore, I have begun to destroy you, to ruin you, because of your sins. See, that word keeps popping up. Sins. Sin. Sin. Because of the sins of our nation, we are still on these plantations. That rhymes, y'all. Because of the sins of our nation, we still on these plantations. So what does that look like? You're going to eat but not be satisfied. Your stomach will still be empty. You'll store up but save nothing. Because what you save, I will get to the sword. You will plant but not harvest. You will press olives but not use the oil. You will crush grapes but not drink the wine. You have observed the statutes of Omri. Oh, we're going to get into it tonight. You see, this is why you need to read your Bible. Because when you have terms that are coming to you, words being put before you that you don't understand them because you don't read your scriptures. You don't understand it. So when he puts out a word and he uses a word like Omri, or he talks about Balaam and Balak, and you like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's because you're not reading the entirety of the text. You have to read the entirety of the text in order to understand the journey of Yasharel and their relationship to the Most High. So I'm going to break down Omri in a minute. So you have observed the statutes of Omri and all the practices of who? Ahab's house. Some of y'all are starting to catch on. You have followed their traditions. Therefore, I will give you over to ruin and your people to derision. You will bear the scorn of the nations. So let's talk about Omri. Let's talk about Ahab. Now, it's funny because two of the greatest sins that the Most High mentions are identical in this passage. He talked about Balak and Balaam, and what did the men of Yasharel do? They went about whoring with the women of Moab. What didn't change when it got to Omri's, you see, because Omri was a high priest of Baal worship. Okay? Baal worship. And he said, that's who you're following after. Ahab was the king of Yasharel who married Omri's daughter. Omri was not an Israelite. He was a Hamite. And Jezebel, his daughter, was the one that Ahab married and brought in the practice of Baal worship to the Yisraelites. Let's talk about Baal. We got to talk about Baal. Wrong one. Do me a favor, if you've not already given this a thumb up, definitely give this a thumb up. We can break this down. Break this down. Okay. Pulling it up. I think I got too many tabs open. My husband was using my phone the other day. And he said, babe, do you need all these tabs? And I had like 40 something tabs open. I was like, I don't think I do need all of them tabs. And he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna close them out. And then he thought he closed out my tabs and found out I didn't have 40 tabs open. I had over 150 tabs open. I'm like, y'all, that's like my brain. I got 150 tabs open in my brain. I keep trying to click on this one thing and it keeps going up. Okay, let's see if maybe that'll work. All right, I think that worked this time. All right, so we're taking a look at this article from Britannica. Baal, God worshipped in many ancient Middle Eastern communities, especially among the Canaanites, who apparently considered him a fertility deity and one of the most important gods in the pantheon. Pantheon means multiple gods, or pantheist is somebody who worships multiple gods. As a Semitic common noun, Baal meant owner or lord. That's why I really don't use that word lord. I know some folks still use it. I don't, because it always reminds me of Baal. Although it could be used more generally, for example, a Baal of wings was a winged creature, and in plural, Baalim of arrows indicated archers. Yet such fluidity in the use of the term Baal did not prevent it from being attached to a god of distinct character. As such, Baal designated the universal god of fertility. And in that capacity, his title was Prince, Lord of the Earth. He was also called the Lord of Rain and Dew, the two forms of moisture that were indispensable for fertile soil in Canaan. Now, do y'all remember where the Most High shut up the heavens for 3 years, right? So it would not rain for 3 years. Why? Because of Baal worship. Because he was called the Lord of the Rain. So he wanted to show Yasharah how powerless he really was. But it's a fertility God. Fertility God. And that's what the Israelites found themselves facing: the lust, the uncontrollable lust of sexual perversion because of the worship of Baal. So now we're going to talk about something a little hard and a little difficult. So back about September 2024, Yahuwah laid on my heart about the Israelite community in a strong way. And it wasn't good, particularly among Israelite leaders. Now, y'all may have noticed that I don't really talk about a lot of people on my channel anymore. I don't give a lot of shout outs anymore. I don't do a lot of interviews anymore. I've stopped a lot of the things that I was doing before. And not that I won't do interviews and such, but back in September 2024, Yahuwah began to show me some things about the Israelite community, in particular, the leaders of the Israelite community. And he asked me to trust him, deal with my heart first in terms of offense that I had with individuals in my life, and then to address Israelite leaders. And I never spoke on this, but I felt compelled to speak on it tonight because I did just that. I put together a video and I reached out to the leaders of Yasharel, those people that y'all follow on social media. I don't know a whole lot of camps necessarily, but the message was put out there for people in camps or people who are not in camps. And the purpose behind it was to share about what I was sensing in my spirit was going to be happening to the leadership of Yasharel if they did not repent, if they did not humble themselves. And I put out a call for a point of action for Israelite leaders to come together. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. It was not pleasant. It was not pleasant at all, because the majority of Israelite leaders began to fight even more. And in fighting, they revealed exactly what Yahuwah had already told me. And so he let me know that because of the unrighteousness of the so-called leaders in the Israelite community, that we were going to be in a really bad place as a community in terms of unification, because of the lack of love for Yah and the lack of love for one another. And y'all might have recalled back when I was talking a lot about loving our neighbor. It was around that time. But there wasn't hardly any love. And he showed me that things were going to start toppling among the so-called leaders. And so there's a couple of leaders that I'm still connected to, and they know who they are. And I've pulled away from the Israelite community. I'm just being honest with y'all. And they know that. The people who I'm still connected to, they know that. That was intentional. The ones who I'm still connected to are fully aware of where I'm at. And the ones who I'm not connected to, they know it as well. They know that I'm not connected to them. Because see, one thing about me is you're not going to have to wonder how I feel about you. That's one thing about me. You are not going to have to second guess, oh, the Sister Shonda got a problem with me. You're going to know. And you won't have to hear from nobody else. You hear directly from me. And so I pulled away from a lot of them. And things became much healthier in my life. So much stress that I was having internally got reduced because I backed away, because Yahuwah revealed to me and so many others during that exchange the hearts of the leaders. And so for those that I still follow, because I still follow Teo Ministries, shout out to Teo Ministries. And today I was listening to Brother Yacoba, and something came up with somebody in a camp. Now, again, I don't really follow the camps at all. But something came up with somebody who was a huge leader in one of the camps. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details. I'm going to tell you that it's very bad. And it's very open. And I'm going to tell you that it is the same exact sins of our ancestors that this particular leader was caught up in. Baal worship. And it's grievous. It's very grievous because, you know, when we woke up, it felt like all of a sudden now things were going to shift. Many of us had the church experience dealing with church hurt and the hypocrisy in church and all of the fornication, the adultery that goes on in church, the baby mamas, the abortions, all of that stuff, the homosexuality, all of that stuff in the church. And so we thought that when we woke up, that it was going to be a difference. I promise you there's no difference. I promise you there's no difference. And that is very sad. That is very sad. Folk running around talking about we the children of Israel. We need to wake up. Black folk, we need to wake up. Law, statutes, and commandments, y'all. Man, that's just a bunch of talk for a lot of them. They don't love their brother. They exploit their sister. Sexual exploitation. It's perversity, degeneracy, lawlessness. You see, the thing about it is what you never had with me, and people can say whatever they want to say about me because I really don't care. I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because I already air my sins and confess my sins before the people. I tell y'all the things I struggle with. I struggle with bitterness at times. I said just last week, 2 weeks ago, I said, you have to expose the bitterness so you can get better. But gross sin is not something that any of us should be wrestling with. Why? Because the difference between so many people that so-called know their way is that they are not born again. That's the difference. You want to know the difference between me and you? I have a real testimony. So it don't matter whether or not you think I'm a leader or I'm a woman, I shouldn't be teaching. Some of the same people say, oh, you're a woman, you shouldn't be teaching, are exploiting the daughters of Zion. Sexual exploitation. They want them to be stupid, biblically illiterate, so they can play with their minds. Is that Yasharah? Is that what Yasharah has become? Or what Yasharah always was? You think the Most High woke us up so that we can be just like our ancestors? You want to know why we still on these plantations? Because we're no different than them. Baal worship is very much a present wickedness among Yasharah, even as it was among our forefathers and our foremothers. And the reason why people are struggling to get free from the lands of our captivity and their plantations is because too many of our people love and secretly worship their gods. Our people are so busy looking out rather than looking in. That's our people as a collective. Looking out rather than looking in. I've been saying since day one on this channel, y'all can say whatever y'all want. Listen, I don't have 20,000 subscribers. I don't have 50,000 subscribers. I don't have 100,000 subscribers. I don't have 250,000 subscribers. I have 12,000 people that have subscribed to my channel, and I'm very grateful for that. But you know what? It's okay because I don't need a whole lot of people because the Most High always used the remnant. He always used the remnant. It ain't never been about the numbers for him. You see, the thing about it is that what we have to understand is it doesn't matter as much what we say. Of course, it matters what we say when we get on these platforms. But what matters more important is what we do when we get off these platforms. How we live behind closed doors. Are you cheating on your spouse? I'm not just talking about Israelite leaders. Are you cheating on your spouse? Are you living with somebody that you're not even married to? Are you engaging in LGBT activities? Are you doing that? Are you taking pleasure in people who do those things? I mean, let's just be honest. This is our problem. I told y'all, we got to get our hearts right. The reason why we got to get our hearts right because we can't save nobody else. It's only a remnant. But what are you doing behind closed doors? Are you trying to live right? Are you trying to live right? I'm not boasting. Trust me when I tell you, I'm not boasting, y'all, because I tell y'all all the time, I'm a work in progress. But I'm so thankful to Yahuwah because he shifted my perspective on a lot of things that I used to buck against. I used to buck against having to serve my family. He shifted my perspective on that. Now when I get up and I get to be in my home and I get to cut the worship music on and I get to have devotion with my children and I get to teach them and I get to wash clothes and I get to get on, the floor and clean the floors. When I get to do that, I enjoy it. It's a pleasure now to take care of my family. And I tell you, the Most High, when you're born again, He shifts your understanding about what life is. This sin nature is real. This wrestle within is real. It's a real wrestle for all of us. But it's too many people to profess that they know who they are. And they're living in secret sin, household wickedness, leaven, all over the place. All over the place. And we got to deal with that. You know, it's so-called Good Friday today. So-called Good Friday. And you know, I don't celebrate Good Friday, not because I don't believe in a risen Savior, but because I know he wasn't crucified on a Friday and rose on a Sunday. The math ain't mathing. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. The math just ain't mathing. But today's supposed to be the day that people, you know, they're supposed to be like all holy and, you know, that's what they're supposed to be, right? We just, you know, this one day we just going, I went out today, different stores weren't opened up. This one day we just going to be like, you know, holy. Like, come on, man. That ain't even real. But Sunday is supposed to be Easter Sunday, right? Well, what is Easter? Family. Easter was originally the celebration of Ishtar, the Assyrian and Babylonian goddess of fertility and sedge. There we go again. We're right back there. We're right back in the same place. My goodness. Her symbols, like the eggs and the bunny, were and still are fertility and sedge symbols. Or did you actually think the eggs and bunnies had anything to do with the resurrection? After Constantine decided to Christianize the empire, Easter was changed to represent Jesus. But at its roots, Easter, which is how you pronounce Ishtar, is all about celebrating fertility and sedge. I mean, we are still there. We're still right there. So everybody thinks that it's all good. You know, we're going to be all quote unquote holy on Good Friday. And then we're going to stand out there at a sunrise service on Sunday and worship the sun, worship Tammuz. And then we're going to do the, you know, Easter bunny and all of that stuff. And we're going to pass that paganism down to another generation. And then right after that, it's carnival, baby. It's carnival. And if you have not followed Truth Unedited, as he talks about carnival, you need to check out what he's talking about because that's some deep stuff right there. But it's carnival, right? This was carnival last year here in the VI. Yes, y'all. This is where I live. This is how it really is. That's not an exaggeration. It gets a lot worse than that. But this is right after so-called Resurrection Day. He is risen. You know how many of them go to church before they do that? So the problem among Yasharel is clear. It's sin. We can't get free as a nation because our people love the bondage of their sin. They love the plantation. They love the Baal worship. They love the fertility goddess worship. And all Yahuwah asks them to do is to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with him. I mean, we out here begging these nations to treat us with mercy, and we ain't even merciful towards one another. I mean, y'all saw what happened to that young man, Carmelo Anthony. Y'all saw what's happening to him right now. This boy came from a stable home, straight A student, captain of 2 teams at his school, and because he defended himself from Austin Metcalf, who was a known bully, he has become vilified by white America. But you know what makes matters worse is when our own people agree with the very oppressors. That's what makes it worse. We don't show mercy towards one another.
I apologize on behalf of the Black community because they are the ones that are raising money for your son's killer. They are the ones that are funding this new lavish lifestyle that your son's killer is living. I apologize on behalf of the Black community because they are so confused about, again, what's right and what's wrong, that in some weird, twisted sense of racial solidarity, they would celebrate the young man that killed your child in cold blood. I apologize on behalf of the Black community because you don't deserve to see this. You deserve to be grieving your child. You deserve to be remembering your child. You deserve to be able to share stories about what an amazing human being and young man he was. On behalf of the Black community, I would like to apologize to the parents of Austin Metcalf for making.
What an amazing young man the bully Austin Metcalf was. Known bully. Him and his brother. What an amazing man. And you know, nobody is ever happy when a young person loses their life, regardless of their ethnicity. Nobody with, you know, any kind of moral conscience is sitting there saying, oh, yes, I'm so glad. But at the end of the day, when our people finally do say, you know what, we're going to rally together, we're going to unify, we're going to support this young man for his fight for his life, self-defense, then you have jokers like this dude who come out, who was rejected by the Republican Party because he's in the rainbow community. But he comes out, I want to apologize on behalf of the Black community. No, sir, you don't apologize on behalf of me. No, I'm a part of that community, and you do not apologize on behalf of me. And this is what we have. We won't show mercy towards one another, but we'll show mercy towards those who oppress us. I mean, it's a sickness, y'all. It's a disease. And some of our people are so far gone, they're going to do anything and everything to be accepted by the very nation that destroyed them. And we wonder why we're continually struck down by their laws. We know that they move the goalposts every single time. But why? We're struck down by their laws. They switch them up at will. But why? It's because we refuse to obey Yah's holy laws. You know what I'm saying? Even among the awakening, it's no better. We've been blessed by Yah to know our true identity. We should know better than anybody else. But among Yasharal, the sin is just as great as the regular Black folk who are unredeemed. But why are we like this? I said it before, and I'm going to say it again until Yahushua returns. As long as Yah gives me breath, you cannot inherit the kingdom of Yah unless you are born again. You must be born again. You must be born of water and spirit in order to withstand the temptations of these Babylonian gods. You must be. We're going to turn to John chapter 8. We're going to be wrapping it up soon, but I want to hit over here on John chapter 8 because there's an interesting exchange. And we know that these were converts to Judaism, but nevertheless, the information that was given by Yahushua is still very pertinent for our people. StreamYard is wilding out today. All right, John chapter 8. I put it on one and then it goes into another one. It doesn't like me today, y'all. All right, John chapter 8. Let me see where I'm going to start. I have many things to say, verse 26, and to judge of you. But he that sent me is true, and I speak to the world those things which I have heard of him. They understood not that he spake to them of the Father. Then said Yahushua unto them, when you have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall you know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things. And he that sent me is with me. The Father hath not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him. As he spake these words, many believed on him. Do y'all hear that? As he spake these words, many believed on him. Then said Yahushua to the Jews which believed on him. Again, I'm going to read that. Then said Yahushua to the Jews that believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. He said, what now? They believed on him already. But he said, no. He said, you must continue in my word. You got to continue to live right. Then you're my disciples. Because some people have this idea that, oh, well, you know, I believe in Yahushua. He's my savior. But they don't continue in his word. They don't do the things that please him. But yet they want to think in their mind that they're his disciples. He said, no, you got to continue my word if you want to be my disciples. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So the answer them, we be Abraham's seed, and we're never in bondage to any man. How says that we may be made free? Of course, he goes and he says, you know, to them, yeah, you're of Abraham's seed. But he says before then, Yahushua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abides not in the house forever, but the Son abides forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. So we want to know why we're not free. Why are we still on these plantations? If the Son sets us free, then we will be free indeed. But if you commit sin, then you're a servant to sin. So he says, I know that you're Abraham's seed, but you still seek to unalive me because my word has no place in you. Now, these were the people that were supposedly believing on him. And he said, no, you say you believe me, but really in your heart, you don't want me. My word don't have a place in you. This is us today. You got all kind of people, and again, leaders coming on and talking about the law, statutes, and commandments, talking about serving the Most High. But the word, there's no place for it in their life. They might be able to quote the word, but living it is a whole different monster. It's a whole different beast. Living that word out. It doesn't matter how many scriptures we can quote. I can quote quite a few scriptures. How many can I live? That's what's really the testing ground. So he goes on, I speak that which I've seen with my father, and you do that which you have seen with your father. Now, remember, they believed on him. Your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yahushua said unto them, if you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. If you were his children, you would do, what is the works of Abraham? Faith, obedience. But now you seek to unalive me, a man that had told you the truth, which I heard of Alua. This did not Abraham. Abraham didn't do this, is what he's saying. You do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Alua. Yahushua said unto them, if Alua were your father, you would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from Alua. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Now, this is to all of you Torah-only Israelites. Right here. I'm checking you right here. He said, if you love the Father, you would love Yahusha, because he proceeds forth and came from Elua. He did not come of himself, but the Father sent him. Why don't you understand my speech, though? Because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was the leader from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Some translations say he speaks his native tongue when he lying. When he speaks, lying is his native tongue. For he's a liar and he's the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. I'm telling you, this is Torah only Israelites. Right here. He is Torah. Do you not understand that? Yahusha is Torah. The same word that you say, law, statutes, and commandments, the reason why you can't follow them is because you reject Torah. You preach that you follow Torah. You don't follow Torah, because if you don't follow Yahusha, you can't follow Torah. He is the word made flesh that dwells among men. So which one of y'all convicted me of sin? If I said the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elua hears Elua's words, yea, therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elua. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, so we not well that thou art a Samaritan and has a devil. So they accused him of having a devil. Yahusha answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you do dishonor me. And I seek not my own glory. There is one that seeks and judges. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keeps my saying, he will never see deletion. He'll never see it. And it's not talking about the physical body. It's talking about the second deletion, an eternal fire. Then said the Jews unto him, now we know that you have a devil. Abraham is deleted. See, they don't have spiritual ears to hear anything. And the prophets, and you say, if a man keeps my saying, he shall never taste deletion. Are you greater than our father Abraham, which is deleted? And the prophets are deleted, who makes you yourself? Yahusha answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honors me, of whom you say that he is your Elua. Yet you have not known him, but I know him. And if I should say I know him not, I shall be a liar like you. You know what? I love how Yahusha, he just cut no cards. He had no cut cards. But I know him, and I keep it saying, your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, you are not even 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Yahusha said unto them, this for all you Torah followers only. Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. He is the I am. Of course, they took up stones. They want to stone him. How dare you say I am? And that's our people. No love for each other. We got no love for the Savior, no love for each other, but we got all the smoke in the world for each other. And the sins are what keep us locked up on these plantations. I mean, I've been in this awakening long enough to have the question of, is there a Moses among us, like our forefathers? One to lead us out of the lands of our captivity in the same way that Moses led his people out. So let me answer that question for you. There is a Moses among us. That Moses among us is Yahushua HaMashiach, the risen Savior. The risen Savior. There is no other. It is him. And if you don't know him, if you have not repented of your sins, if you not put your faith in the Savior and the Master, the Adon, Yahushua HaMashiach, you will die in your sins. And you will go to the lake of fire, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. And it's as plain and simple as that. There's no need to try to sugarcoat it. Because I've lost a lot of people in this past 6, 7, 8 months. And I can tell you one thing about losing people, losing loved ones, what it does. Man, it gives you new perspective. It gives you new perspective on the fragility of life. And this plane. And when you hear about how a person lived, it really helps you to understand how every single day you're making a choice. Every single day that you wake up and you have breath in your body, you're making a choice that day on whom you will serve. And if you don't get it right, I'm not here to condemn you. I'm here to tell you that you have an advocate in Mashiach, in Yahushua HaMashiach. You have an advocate in him if you sin, not when you sin, if you sin. 1 John 1:9, if you sin, you have an advocate. I have an advocate. And we are to go to him. And I tell you, like I said, during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we've been sitting down every night. And Yahuwah has been dealing with me as the leaven has been rising on the inside of me in the daytime. And I've been falling short of his glory. Not every day, but some days. And don't let me be tired, because then I'm really going to be messed up. But we have the ability to go before him and ask him to cleanse our heart and show us our ways. We should desire that every day, not just during a feast, not just during a time where we are supposed to observe a festivity. We should be desirous of spending time in his presence every day, trying to get closer to him. How do we even estimate the mathematics of being apart from him on a daily basis and yet being in his kingdom for eternal life, for eternity? The more we're in his presence, the more we know what he desires, the more he gives us the power to overcome sin. Because I'm going to be the first one to tell y'all, I am not some super saved woman that doesn't wrestle with sin. I wrestle just like everybody else wrestles with sin. I live under the marine kingdom. For those of y'all who know, you know. I live under the marine kingdom, y'all. It's not easy dealing with the weight of the iniquity that is around me all the time. I got family with family generational curses in the same way that y'all got family with family generational curses. And the thing is that the more you spend time in Yahuwah's presence, the more that you are with him, the more he can reveal to you what the enemy already knows about you. He can locate you exactly where you're at. And so when these temptations and when these sins come up that are there to throw you off, he can give you the strategy and give you a way out. But if you're not born again, I'm sorry. You're trying to do it on your own and it's just not going to work. All right, final scripture. Matthew 24. Of course, this is the Mount of Olives when he's talking to his disciples and he says, take heed that no man deceive you. Talking about many people are going to be deceived in these last days. And talking about how the nations are going to afflict those who are righteous. They're going to those who are righteous, and those who are righteous are going to be hated of all nations for his name's sake. And then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. This is where we're at now. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. I want y'all to do me a favor. Put a 1 in the chat. And this is for those of you who are millennial and older, right? Old millennial, not young millennial, like zillennial, like in your 40s and older, okay? Put a 1 in the chat if you recognize that the world has become, in your lifetime, for the time you're 0 to 40 years old and 40 on through whatever age you are now, if you've noticed that there has been an increase in the coldness of people toward one another, okay? An increase. Put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't noticed any difference, put a 2 in the chat. But I just want to see. I want to see, because for me, I feel like people are a lot harder and more cold towards people. Okay. All right. So I'm getting 1s everywhere. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's not just me. I feel like people are just so hard and so cold. Like, you know, it's almost like you're made to feel stupid for being kind. Like, oh, you know, calloused, right? Like, if you have a kind heart, you're made to feel like you are just like the dumbest, greenest person in the world. Like, you are so green. Oh my goodness. Like, no, I'm just kind. Okay. Forget about being nice. Nice, you're just stupid. Right? I learned not to be nice. But if you want to be kind, that's still considered being green, and you're going to be taken advantage of. Okay? You better learn how to be wise as a serpent and gentle, harmless as a dove. You better learn how to be shrewd in today's society, because if you're not shrewd in today's society, they're going to eat you up and spit you out. Don P says over the past 10 to 12 years. Yeah, it's been an increase. It has been an absolute increase of hardness towards people. Wax cold. People take pride in being devilish and mean towards one another now. But this is the one I wanted y'all to see. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. He who endures to the end, fam. We got to endure to the end. That's the thing about it. We got to endure to the end. You know, I'm going to do something that I wasn't going to do, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to give 3 people a chance to come up. Please don't come up talking no foolishness. Please do not. Stay on topic. I don't want to be rude. I'm tired and I don't want to be rude. But I'm going to give you an opportunity. If you want to come up and you want to talk about what your experience, what you're seeing among our people on this pathway to why it is that we are not free. And listen, if you come up, please do me a favor and stick to the topic, but also be led of the Holy Spirit. Okay? Be led of the Holy Spirit. Because we're very isolated as a people. And the more that the love of many waxes cold, the more isolated we become. But if we hear from others, I think that encourages us that we can continue to press forward, even though times are difficult, even though our people collectively are destroyed. So I'm going to just look through some of these comments, and those of you, if Yahuwah has put it on your heart, if you want to come up and you want to say something, then I'm going to let you go ahead and speak your piece, because I think we need encouragement. You know, I do see that Yahuwah is doing things. Like I told y'all when I first came in, for those of you who missed it, I'm not discouraged because I see Yahuwah doing things in an unorthodox way, a way that we didn't necessarily plan for, but I see him doing things. But I do think that it's important that we understand that we as a people have to walk in his integrity if we're going to see his hand deliver us. All right, I'm going to bring Brother Don P to the stage. Walk in his integrity. I'm going to mute myself. We're going to see his hand deliver us. All right, I'm going to bring Brother Don P to the stage. Walk in his integrity. Mute myself. We're going to see his Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. I had put that on mute. I apologize. I am so sorry. I'm just rambling on, and then I see no sound, sis. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm back. Brother Don P, when you're all set up, just put it in the private chat and let me know that you're ready to go. But I was putting up those chats because I was saying that's where I'm at. I don't just lend out my kindness anymore to anybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't in this day and age. You have to guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. All right. Malachi says, we always been disobedient, but only the true difference of today versus yesterday. Today we have more ills and lack obedience to Yahuwah. Yeah, it's true. That's right. We do. And I wanted to encourage y'all, if you have not gotten a chance to get your hand on my book, Israelite, yet, definitely y'all want to do yourself a favor, invest in this material. It is a blessing. It's a real story, y'all. It's a real story. I know a lot of people write books among Israel, and praise Yah for all the great books that are coming out among Israel. But this is a testimony. Okay, this is the type of testimony that is raw, that's real, that talks about the real journey of being a born-again believer who does not know one's identity, and how Yahuwah woke me up. And I believe that this book is very important, particularly for the Black Christian community. So I wrote it for the Black Christian community. If you got people in your life that are in the Black Christian community and they don't know who they are, this is an investment into them. Why? Because they need to know their identity coupled with their understanding of the necessity to be born again. It is a package deal. So do yourself a favor and your loved ones a favor and grab a copy of Israelite. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring Brother Don P on real quick. Brother Don P, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, my sister. How are you? It has been.
I am doing well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Because I know you and your family were under the weather for a minute. I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed about where we are, and I'm watching the division. And there's nothing new under the sun, as Shalimah has advised us. We're watching those official agents as well as the grifters not only do what they do, but intensify the attack. And our people need to understand that the enemy plays a multi-dimensional game. They have several open fronts that they're attacking us on. This is warfare that starts at the spiritual level and manifests itself in the physical. There are all kinds of things going on as the enemy is making chess moves, trying to counteract what the Most High has already set in motion. So we got several fields of play going on. We got the main field that we're concerned about, which is the United States of America. Then other folks have fields of play that they're worried about, like the Caribbean, Europe, and so forth, South America. We are all experiencing the various different difficulties on our front as we combat the enemy to move forward in being obedient to the Most High Yah. For me, listen, like I said, and I was very verbose in the chat tonight just because your topic just hit me and made me feel a certain kind of way. Yeah, I've watched this. I've watched everything change. I did my my graduate and doctoral studies in Italy. And I arrived in Italy on September 11th, 2001. The difference in the attitude that I've seen from that time to the recent videos that I've seen over the last couple years, completely a 180. These folks are feeling the heat. And where do they lash out? Toward us. They don't know why they do it.
Right.
But they do it because they're fulfilling the prophecy.
Yeah.
We are their enemy, And also, like I said in the chat, the last 5 books that I bought, True Jerusalem, Israelite, Hiding the Hebrews, and my sister's book, The Conspiracy to Erase a Nation, and then the last book was they always knew.
Mm-hmm.
They always knew. But he should have put on that they always knew, but they didn't tell you.
Shout out to Minister Tayu for his new book.
Hey,
he joins the author club.
hey, that's my family. Y'all my family, man. Y'all put something out. Now, see, if you had told me, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you had told me that you were gonna put out a hard copy,
yeah,
I honestly would not have gotten the electronic one because I like the touch and the feel. I like to be able to look at stuff.
The hard copy is the hard copy is good. So I got one myself, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. And
I had to get it. I had to get the hard copy.
I think you were like, you got it immediately. I think you were
because I love y'all. I love y'all. Man. Y'all be speaking the words of truth too. See, y'all don't be playing. Y'all don't be playing. And
but you know, Don P, it's like real recognize real. And it's not about what's said, it's about what's lived behind closed doors. And the thing is that, you know, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people who started out, they've already fallen behind because they privately they're not living right. And that should be a warning to us as a people, because you said, you know, these folk, they're fulfilling prophecy. We're all fulfilling prophecy. I mean, that's the reality. You know what I'm saying? We're all fulfilling it on one level or the other, because remember, he made nations, tribes, and tongues. So if them as a nation is fulfilling prophecy, how much more are we as a nation fulfilling prophecy? You know? Absolutely.
Because we are the timepiece. We are the timepiece.
Right.
Prophecy is kept by us. So yes, absolutely. 100%. And it's just, man, I want my people to be awake. And, you know, I know people that have money, right? And they're doing what they need to do to bounce. If y'all don't know, Black people with money are leaving. And so we have these discussions, and, you know, I try to get my brothers to understand, listen, you're at a different level of the game. You're going to sell the main house you live in. You already sold the other house that you were at, was rental property, but you're going to sell the main house you live in. You can get 700 racks out of that. Everybody doesn't have that option.
Right.
So when you speak about our people and you leaving because you understand prophecy, you have to understand that our people, they putting their coins together, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get out of here. It's not a matter of they don't want to. At least those that are in that, you know, that grape that's saved out of the cluster. It's not like they don't want to. They're trying to figure it out because it's expensive to leave, you know. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm gonna tell you my strategy. One was to understand and determine my ancestry. And I did that through African ancestry. And because I was obedient, I now have an opportunity, which I'm working on right now, to get a second citizenship based on that ancestry. Now that will allow me to leave.
Right, because like 11 countries in Africa right now give dual citizenship to those who can prove they have ancestry in those particular nations. I saw that like last month. And that's a very good strategy. That is, I think my position, you know, and I try to be very consistent in what I say. For those who are wrestling with, you know, the economic, you know, conditions that make it difficult for them to leave, understand this: you're not surprising Yahuwah. because you don't have the money in the bank.
Come on now.
Not everybody is called to leave at this point. Some people are forerunners. They're called pioneers, are called to leave. The thing that all of us need to be concerned about is doing the will of our Father in heaven. There's no better place to be but in the center of his will. And I say that because, one of the other things that Yakoba had pointed out today is that there's a lot of turmoil right now surrounding Uganda, the Congo, and Rwanda. There's a lot of turmoil in that area. A lot of people are looking at Burkina Faso and they're like, oh my goodness, yes, President Ibrahim Traore is doing his thing, and praise Yah that he is doing his thing, but there's still turmoil there with some of the militia groups. There's a lot of issues with the colonizers over there still operating through these puppet leaders over there as well. So we have to understand that it's not about as much about where you're physically located at the point. If Yahuwah is telling you to go to a place, I promise you, he will carry you there. I have my best close family is there in Botswana right now. That we're in Tanzania, stepping stones to home. Shout out to them. And they didn't have a lot of money when they left, but they listened to Yahuwah and he guided them there. And they've been there for like 4 or 5 years now. And they've been doing well, but they are doing well because they're following in his steps. They're being led of him. And I think that's the main thing we have to understand is that follow after the will of Yahuwah. Because if you go someplace and he didn't call you to go to that place, that's on you. But if you stay and he told you to leave, that's still on you. So listen to his leading. That's my position.
You have spoken all of the truth, and then you dusted off your shoes. Because here's the deal, and Yexer was saying this earlier, a lot of us came into the full awareness and embraced who we are in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the Most High, once he changed my situation, he let me understand that he was hearing my prayers. Mm-hmm. And he changed my situation based on my obedience because I was crying out to him. And y'all might hear that in a book that might be coming out that's not written
joining the Authors Club?
not written from my perspective, but from my dog's perspective.
Uh-oh. Sounds interesting.
But
that sounds interesting.
Thank you, sister. But listening to the Most High voice, I was a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of them good American Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I had finally moved on to, the multicultural, non-denominational church,
mm-hmm.
where we're all just children of God.
Right.
And, during the lockdown, what we was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High, after he changed my situation and so forth and so on, because see, I knew he was real because I had asked him a couple things and he delivered. So when he told me to come out of her and be separate, and he was talking about religion and this whole world process, being involved with the world, being a friend of the world. When he told me to come out of that, I came out of that. And because of that obedience, he gave greater revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Come out of her and be separate. He meant
that's right.
To be physically come out of her. And from there, it was just a journey of obedience. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little money to get this DNA test to figure things out. Okay, cool. Spend the money. He gave you the ability to make the money. Spend the money. Okay, so now you got your DNA. Okay, so now you hooked up with these folks. Oh, well, that opens the door to these other folks. So now you hooked up with these other folks. Well, these other folks are making a lot of ruckus and getting things done and helping the diaspora. And because of that obedience, we're now at the place where I'm working on my citizenship, my second citizenship. So if funk happens in the United States, it's like, hold up, cuz. You can't hold me. You can't hold me. Yeah, okay, I got a blue passport, but I got this other passport called the AES passport. Yeah, so, you know, obedience is better than the sacrifice. And
indeed
for
it is.
Anybody still paying that 10%, divert that money to your passport and your ancestry. Because it ain't
That's
looking
strategy.
good. It's not looking.
Strategy.
Oh, can I tell you something? This is what I did want to tell you. It was kind of off the beat. I think it just happened today.
Okay, real quick, because I'm getting ready to close out.
Okay. So you had Lion Coon Langley, General Langley, make all these false accusations in a congressional hearing about Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso fired back, and they just raised the terror level in Burkina Faso to level 4.
You serious?
Yeah.
So y'all see how to be? Oh, they can't stand when we start mobilizing.
They're trying to block us. They're trying to block us from getting out because if y'all are not paying attention to what's going on the continent, the Most High is moving. He's giving people courage that we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. But see, I think it's a sign of the times. It is, because we know that Africa has to wake up. Our brothers and sisters there, in order to fulfill Ezekiel 37, our brothers and sisters there, plus us in the diaspora, have to unite. And that is again a fulfillment of prophecy. So we're seeing it, little by little. But again, we just have to wait on Yahuwah. Be patient, wait on him, get our hearts right.
Once we leave, he takes his hand off of this place.
Yeah,
once we're out here, once the numbers that he had predetermined are out of here, he's going to destroy Babylon.
Yeah, he said he would. Revelation 18.
Y'all better pay attention. It ain't about huddling down and surviving here. Hey, sis, real quick, have you seen what these folks are doing in terms of bunkers and stuff?
Not these recently, but I definitely know they got stuff.
They got full-on moats. They got bunkers with moats and all kinds of stuff. This is just prophetic. It's like, okay, you nigga think you're gonna hide in the rocks. All right, cool.
You're gonna hide in the rocks.
Cool. Yeah. But I love you.
Exactly. It's all prophecy.
I love the Most High. He's undefeated. It's like I said this was gonna happen. Now you watching what's gonna happen. And
there you go.
I love your book. It's like I'm trying to read.
You got a lot to read.
I'm trying to read all 5 of these books at one time. But I started out with yours, and I got through that first chapter, and I had to set it down because I ran out of tissues.
Oh, man.
That was the chapter that led up to a pocket full of
religion. Yep.
Yeah.
And shout out to Sister Malaka, because she did a book club.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and my book was the one featured in her book club, and she's going to be on with her book club sisters coming up soon. But shout out to Sister Malaka for that, and shout out to you, Brother Don, and all of you who continue to support the work that Yahuwah lays on my heart to do. And thank you, because I wanted the story to be told in a very authentic way. And I do believe that Yahuwah, is using it and will continue to use it in a mighty way. Brother Dot, thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up tonight.
All right,
And just I hope that you enjoy your Shabbat and the rest of the Feast of Unleavened Bread if you got a chance to partake this time around. You be blessed, sir.
All praises to the Most High, and thank you so much, my sister. I will stay tuned to what you're doing because, I can't eat off everybody's plate now.
I know that's right. It ain't healthy for us.
Shalom.
All right, family. So I want to really quickly, I want to thank those of you who have given tonight. Thank you so much for continuing to support this work. I really appreciate it. Only 60 games played. Thank you very much for your super sticker. I really appreciate you. I always do this towards the end because I don't want it to be a distraction. While I'm, sharing during the teachings and the discussions, but I want to also do it towards the end because I want to properly thank you. Because I tell you, without your support, there would be no Ashanda at large. It's just plain and simple as that. So thank you very much. Only 60 games played for your super sticker. I appreciate you, House of Judah, for your super sticker as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming in tonight and also showing love in the super sticker. Sister Emma, thank you very much for your super chat. Thank you very much for showing up tonight and for support. Y'all, it means a lot. It really, truly does. And I just want to appreciate you at this time for all the kindness that you show when you bless me monetarily. Thank you. I appreciate that. Zenobia, thank you so much for your super sticker as well. Thank you once again for your kindness and gift that you have brought this platform tonight. Thank you. And Brother Brian Johnson, thank you for your super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you. Listen, whatever y'all bless me with is a blessing that I tell you, it never gets old. I don't sit there and go like, oh, whatever. Never. I am so honored and humbled every time you all give. And that's whether you give through Super Chat, Super Sticker, Super Thanks, whether you give through CashApp, Zelle, PayPal, whatever means, modes, operations that y'all choose to give. You support the work that I do with my book or with Yah's Big Ten Commands or any other projects that I'm working with, my advertisers that are coming in. Shout out to Natural Niche Boutique once again. Thank y'all so much for all the love and the support that y'all give continuously, right? I appreciate you. And so with that in mind, family, Yahuwah's on the move. Y'all continue to stay prayerful. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged because Yahuwah will never leave us. He'll never forsake us. Okay? So we continue to hold on to his word and he will deliver us because that's what he promised. So as always, family, love yourselves without hating your enemies. And until next time, family, Yah bless and Salamah.